Hello, everybody. Most of you have gone back to work, and a lot of you are still working from home. However, the pandemic has not left us and its challenges. And that is what I'm going to talk about today in terms of a corporate overview and why executives need coaching during this pandemic. So the global outbreak of the coronavirus has had significant challenges, and leaders and staff at all levels in industries across the world have been affected by this. So will the world go back to normal? No. Will the world go back to a new normal? Certainly. So the next normal will materialize after the battle against the coronavirus has been won. So in the meantime, we are actually getting ready for the next new normal, and that's what I want to talk about as well. So instead of yearning for things to go back to the way it was, I assist corporate leaders to get ready for the next normal in this low-touch economy. So I have assisted corporates in the Northern Hemisphere during the 9/11 crisis, as well as the subprime mortgage crisis, which was in 2006, and the 9/11 crisis was in 2001. And now I will show you how to turn challenges into opportunities to thrive in a world that comes next. Another challenge, another crisis. So back to the question, will the world go back to normal after this pandemic? There are a lot of people who think, yes, well, after a while, we'll just adapt again and everything will go back to normal. Life never goes back to normal after big events like these. Disruptive events catalyze change, and it pushes us in certain directions. Let me give you an example of, for example, 9/11. So during 9/11, a common need to connect directly with others, even strangers, spurred on the popularity of social networking sites like Friendster and Facebook, and it altered our norms about friendship and disclosure and privacy and commerce, and ultimately created a new world. The subprime mortgage crisis, I was there when Lehman Brothers closed. I had clients in New York that simply just disappeared. And that led the consumer to rethink ownership and possession. It led to mass acceptance of shared or so-called collaborative consumption. And it spurred on the movement and the start of rideshare companies like Lyft and Uber, and also accommodation share companies like Airbnb, amongst others. So these changes made the world a smaller place and ultimately a new world. And this is going to happen, and it's already happening today with the COVID-19 pandemic. So the world never goes back to the way it was after a crisis. We are already talking about a low-touch economy. This is something that we never really talked about before. So think about it. Consumer mindsets have changed overnight. Has your mindset at work changed? Has your mindset as a professional changed? If not, you will have conflict in terms of your work situation. And that is why I coach corporate leaders. So as a consumer yourself, you already have adopted an attitude of low or no touch products and service. For example, food delivery services versus going to a grocery store. That's me. I don't go to grocery stores. This means that if your company's products or operations don't change, your clients and your consumer will move to a competitor who did. Let me give you a low-level example of overnight change and attitude. I take myself for an example. 2 days before the lockdown in South Africa happened, which was called level 5, I went to a famous grocery store chain, and as I wanted to enter, there were no cloths to clean the trolleys or to wipe the trolleys. I literally turned around and I never ever returned. That is something that I may not have done in the past. So that is how our mindsets have changed with the light of speed overnight. So companies across the globe who are getting ready for now, rather than yearning for a recovery, are inspiring innovation and coaching their front runners on how to step up they are disrupting the market. Let me give you an example. I have to give you an example of Amazon. Amazon has already shown itself as a front runner for the new low-touch economy. They have already invested, and they have already started with sidewalk robots, little robots walking and delivering packages, no touch, low-touch economy. They are already delivering packages below 5 kilograms with drones, another no-touch, low-touch economy. Amazon Go is a store that opened in Seattle, and they're all over the United States. It's where you go for a non-human interaction checkout experience when you go buy your groceries. And the list goes on with Amazon. They are buying up malls and changing them into warehouses. Their next idea is floating warehouses in the sky. Of course, Amazon, one part of their business obviously is e-commerce. It's doing very, very well. But then they are killing companies like Walmart and Costco because they have created their own Amazon-branded products that they are selling via a e-commerce product. So these guys are ready. And that's why since the beginning of the outbreak of the pandemic, Amazon shares have gone up by 25%. Starbucks as well. Starbucks, Amanda Wong, CEO of China, she said that she had to unlearn everything that she had known before or done before, and she created the non-touch Starbucks experience across China. And think about it. Where are you going to buy your coffee from? From the guy who sneezes over your coffee, or from a company that provides coffee with a non-human interaction? I'm going to go for Starbucks. So where will we go next? If you think about it in terms of how your business operations changed in the last 4 months, then you may know if you are going somewhere or if you are stuck. So let's take, for example, meetings. I mean, we all have had meetings via Zoom. So have you thought about this? Are you able to survive with less meetings? And who have you spotted in your company who are innovating? Have you spotted opportunities to innovate in your company? Who has become paralyzed by fear in your company, or yourself perhaps? Have you already figured out your new normal? What is your next new normal going to be? I'll give you an example. The South African Parliament have tabled that they want to move their parliament from Cape Town to Pretoria, which is going to cost millions and millions and millions of South African rands. Now, I think they should rethink this, because in the last couple of months, they've had meetings via Zoom. And suddenly, there's no air travel, there's no hotel bills, there are no massive food bills, and they are literally saving millions of rands. So why should they move Parliament from one city to another when we can do it over Zoom? So this is how our mindsets have changed. Just a little, just one little example of how our mindset has changed. So you need to think how your mindset has changed and how your business has changed or is changing. So business, I always say business is managed. It is not cured. So the problem, or the sad problem, is that a lot of corporates are thinking that, the biggest problem we need to deal with right now is that our staff are working from home and how to deal with virtual meetings. And, that's just a very, very small part of what is going to come next. So leading with resolve and resilience and inspiring innovation is how I coach the leaders of today during this pandemic. So you, the consumer, have already formed new habits that will increasingly become loyal to brands and create a feeling of trust, or brands that create a feeling of trust and cleanliness and low risk and safety. So I mean, I'm going to buy my coffee at Starbucks. I'm going to buy clothes online. I'm going to get food delivery services. I'm going to look for contactless checkouts experiences in terms of retail stores. I am never, ever going to go to the bank again, ever. I will go online, or my private banker can call me. And if I'm not happy with that, I'm going to go to another bank. Insurance. If I take out insurance, I am never going to meet with an insurance broker again. Everything has to be virtual. I am not going to do unnecessary medical tests and fill in 1,000 forms. I will not do that. And I will go to the next insurer who will provide me with such a service in such a low-touch economy. So it is now imperative to offer your executive coaching or your executives coaching on how to lead their teams into a readiness for a state of the new next normal and create products and services that the consumer needs in the low-touch economy. So we always look at the future as a 5 to 10 year plan, but the future has changed. The future is now 0.5 years to 1.5 years. And now we look at this as an opportunity to see how you can change and transition during this pandemic. And hence the title, How to Pivot During a Crisis. When I start with my executives, we first look at self-exploration. So self-exploration, I want you to view this lecture actually as a psychological masterclass. So as an opportunity to do some introspection and to see how you can change and transition during this pandemic. So I want you actually to take notes as I talk, not of my lecture, but of things that come up in your mind about yourself at work or even your colleagues, or if you've got a team, your team members. Things that usually come up as I talk would be how am I responding to change and transition? How are my teammates responding to change and transition? Even write down their names. Have I done anything to make this better? Have I offered solutions during this pandemic, during this time at work? So how am I behaving? How are they behaving? If my team members are behaving positively, who are they? And how can I retain them? Am I being as stand out to my boss as I want my team members to be a standout to me? And what is my action plan to tackle not only my team's behavior, but my own behavior and my own innovation, and how I can be the best standout employee in this pandemic and getting ready for the next new normal? And also, just know that you are not alone. Thousands, actually millions of people are going through this. And those who are who possess the behavioral traits to get out or come out as winners, they're very, very lucky. But these traits are not always something that you were born with. This is something that needs to be taught. So unexpected changes present opportunities to relate to your teams as well, and vice versa. So I always look at the critical behaviors that next level leaders show during this crisis. I'm going to touch on a couple. I'm going to touch on EQ, emotional intelligence, showing up, those two words, showing up, inclusion, betting on the people who step up, and structure, and how to authentically contribute to your community, and also not being afraid to adapt and to pivot and to reshape your business. So let's look at EQ, or emotional intelligence. It's something that I can talk about for hours, but I won't. I'll do it in a few seconds. So this is about training yourself and reminding yourself again to be mindful now more than ever before. Mindful about how you react and how you act. So in a nutshell, being mindful is the awareness that you choose how to react to situations. So there's no reality, there's only perception. And in this case, in this time, leaders need to over communicate, especially when a lot of meetings are still being done virtually. Over communicate, inform your staff, never let your staff in the dark. And also empathy and understanding are very, very important aspects that we need to look at in terms of leadership right now, from a simple how are you rather to how are you taking care of yourself? What can I do to help you to feel productive? What can I do to help you feel more engaged? Because I've noticed that in the Skype meetings you have become a little bit quiet. So people will be better equipped to handle change and transition if there's continuous and authentic and transparent two-way dialogues. Then those two words again, show up. So the way you show up and be present will cause your staff either to derail or to be productive and innovate. And being present today at work is very different to 4 months ago. So being present on Skype or on Zoom, checking in enough, checking in individually rather than just in groups, making sure everybody is okay. That's something that we really need to focus on because people are scared. So instead of focusing on fear, we focus on opportunities, and that's what I teach in my coaching sessions as well. Inclusion. Inclusion now is very important, even more than ever before, because it's not easy to sit and watch those boxes light up and you being excluded, because now you have to actually watch yourself being excluded. So be very, very aware, use your emotional intelligence, and be aware, because some people act differently on camera as they would in meetings that you would have had before. So you don't want to lose out on opportunities because people are being quiet. So be mindful of inclusion, and yourself as well. Be mindful that your boss is including you, and if your boss is excluding you, and if your boss is not present, then have a chat with your boss. Be, or shall I say, bet on the people who step up. Very, very important. Do what you can to retain those people who are stepping up now during this pandemic. Those are the people who are working harder and exhibiting flexibility and innovation, and so should you as a leader. So look at yourself. I would say during this time, draw a line through your job description and rewrite it. Renegotiate your KPIs, your key performance indicators with your HR BP, and lead by example. Because now is the time to show, first to show up, and now is the time to show your strength and to show your innovation and to show your ideas and to show that you are getting ready for the new next normal and you are not going to be left behind. So also authentically contribute to your community, as I mentioned before. So for example, how can you authentically contribute to your community? I'm talking about your habitat at work. For example, if you are in HR, by now you should have looked at rewriting KPIs and renegotiating key performance indicators of your staff members. Because if the KPIs are still the same as they were 4 months ago, that means that you are communicating to your staff that they don't need to change, that they don't need to work extra, that they don't need to do something else in order to win in a new environment. So, and looking at performance management, let's say you are in HR. I would say that you need to implicate real-time performance management right now, because we can no longer look at quarterly performance management of our staff. We need to look at what they are doing now every day, because our mindsets are changing day by day, and this pandemic is making business change day by day. So those who are coming up with very, very good ideas and opportunities to innovate need to be rewarded and they need to be retained. If you are in marketing, you need to look at new next normal messaging. For example, Nike, their marketing, I think they get it, because with their ad, play inside and play for the world. It's emotive, it is real, it captures humanity, it communicates that Nike gets it. So we are all nervous, and reminding us of fear does not inspire us. Nike has shifted their messaging to talk about how they are going to help us come out of this. And that's what you as a leader need to do. And that's what I teach in my coaching, as to show your staff how you're going to help them get out of this. Create safety nets for your staff and lead by example. Toyota South Africa has just launched an ad, Unlocking Our Doors, which is a play on the lockdown restrictions. And they show how safe it is to visit Toyota. They show the masks. They show taking temperatures, etc. And it makes you actually just want to go and visit Toyota, even though I'm a Mercedes guy. So in terms of more examples, I'm just thinking now, new talent strategies. HR companies need to move away from just finding people who are around them, look at talent abroad and in other countries, because again, companies like Amazon are hiring people all over the world who are able to work remotely, especially in IT. If you're in sales and if you're in consulting, then you need to have more camera contact with your clients, which is cost saving as well. Product development. You need to focus on how to be different now. Speaking of IT, if you're in IT, you need to challenge your team members with relevant coding challenges that could lead to innovation and via hackathons. And these are all during virtual settings and can all be done with a mindset of change and not a mindset of yearning to go back to how things were before. So in terms of structure, I mentioned structure before, create a step-up virtual environment in terms of structure. With structure, I'm talking about your virtual meetings that you are having. I'm seeing a lot of virtual meetings that are just meetings because of meetings. Make sure that your team members know exactly what they need to talk about. Give them topics to talk about and give them challenges as well and make them work in groups. So next time you have a virtual meeting, let them have or give feedback on that. Of course, once a week, it's very important just to have your normal check-ins as usual as well. So don't be afraid to adapt and to pivot and to reshape your business. Tune into the needs of what your consumer or your customers want through online forums, etc. But do the same in terms of your employees. I always say, ask your employees what they think, what they would have done if they ran your department or if they ran your company. Give them projects like that. That is how Amazon does it. They put people into small groups, which they call innovation groups, and it's amazing what actually comes out from all of this. So how do you become a quick change artist and foster flexible leadership? I focus in my coaching on emotional flexibility. So that's the demonstrating awareness of your emotions and the emotions of others. Staying highly engaged and not checking out. Listen to this again. Staying highly engaged and not checking out. That takes me back again to those two words, show up. Okay? Think about it. Think about when the pandemic hit and when the levels were discussed. This president of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, he stepped up as an incredible leader. He was on television every single day, and we all felt so very safe. And then he just disappeared. So he checked out. And then when he talked again, he was just, talking about talks. So as a leader, you need to have consistency as well. So communicating opportunity and hope in the face of fear, and this is how I teach and I coach on that as well. Focus on behavior and results, not intentions, and inspiring others to innovate. So today was very great because the Pretoria News have asked me to talk to you about how to pivot during a pandemic. And one thing I want to focus on as well is leading, or that I focus on in my coaching, is leading remote teams when the stakes are high. So taking into account what we have gone so far, just in your mind, how would you rate your effectiveness at leading and participating in remote teams? So either leading remote teams or participating in remote teams. That's just something I want you to answer yourself. So I teach people in terms of best practices that contribute to an optimal virtual environment as well. And of course, the number one aspect is communication, because we are judged by our behavior, not by our intentions. If someone says to me, I meant to call you, I intended to call you, then I judge that person on the person's behavior, and so will your staff and your company judge you. So we focus on team members who are feeling disconnected these days, not feeling part of the team, not having feedback, lack of trust, lack of information. they feel disempowered, and they're holding back because of their leaders, and that is something that I change in coaching. So I make sure that the leaders are not out of sight and out of mind, that the leaders are establishing personal bonds with their staff, that they are coaching or not just coaching from a distance, that they have more patience, and that they are just more aware, showing higher EQ. I was recently invited to just sit in a virtual meeting, and it was actually two groups of meetings. They didn't see me. I was just observing, and I was just listening. I've never met most of the team members, and after two sessions, I could accurately point out who was excluded, who was holding back, who had problems at home, who was a standout employee who could do more but was holding back because of the leader. The leader's EQ, leader's ability to get buy-in, the leader's optimism and leading by example, and the team's willingness or unwillingness to go the extra mile for the leader. And I can teach you how to play psychologist as well. I can teach you how to do that as well, and quickly change what you perhaps have not acknowledged before, because life is managed, it is not cured. Business is managed, it is not cured, and you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. So I hope that you have enjoyed my talk today, and I would like to say thank you very much to the Pretoria News for streaming this video as well on their Facebook group, Pretoria News SA. Please follow them. And thank you very much. And again, my name is Henry Banches, and I am a corporate psychology coach. And if you wanted to contact me with any questions, you can contact me at henry.banches@aol.co.za. That's henry.banches@aol.com. Thank you, and get ready for the new next normal.